question for you. Have you ever been bullied? As a child, as an adult, out of the playground, at your job, in college, online? Have you ever been bullied, insulted, put down? Well, folks, unfortunately, those people are everywhere, and they're even in the writing community and the reading community, believe it or not. It's sad. It makes a lot of us sick, not because we get upset about it, but because there are people out there that want to tear you down. They want to crush your dreams. They want to make you feel so bad about yourself that you give up doing what you love. And that's their goal, folks. They want to make sure that you are just as miserable as they are. I once had someone tell me to straighten up and get in line like a busy little bee like everybody else. They didn't stay in my life too long after that, because that showed me that they had no idea who I was or what I wanted to do. And my goal was to be an author. I was going to write books and people were going to read them and everyone was going to love them. And that was all there was to it, folks. And you know what? I still feel that way. But as authors, we have to grow some pretty thick skin. So what I want to go over with you today is how fiction authors can handle common insults and put downs and recover from them quickly so that they can still keep going. Your goal in life is to write. That's why you're here, right? You want to learn how to write books and you want to be a successful author, or at least a prolific author. And you don't need these guys tearing you down. So, let's get to it. So folks, needless to say, I'm covering this topic because I've seen some really ugly people over the last couple of weeks. I mean, they're ugly on the inside. Ugly on the inside. I don't know what they look like on the outside, but their insides, ugly, ugly. And I've been called out every name in the book this week. You're fat, you're ugly, you're worthless. Get a real job. Writing's not a real job. Jesus. So let's deal with it, folks. Let's deal with these nasty bullies. Let me teach you how. So every fiction author, no matter how talented or experienced, eventually runs into criticism that feels less constructive and more like a personal jab. In other words, they're not talking about your writing. They're not trying to critique your writing. They're trying to tear you down as a person. These awful, terrible, horrible people. And it's nasty, folks. So whether it's from a snarky reviewer, a dismissive acquaintance, or even a family member who just doesn't get your work, the sting is real. While criticism is part of the writing journey, it's part of the writing process, personal insults and offhanded put-downs can be deeply discouraging. They can mess with your self-esteem. And I want to tell you how to deal with them and come out even stronger than you are today. I'm telling you, folks, if you're an author without thick skin, you're going to be miserable. You've got to grow some thick skin, but let's talk about it. So I want to tell you right now that you are not alone. These guys go after new authors. They go after authors that have published a couple of books. They go after authors with decades-long careers. These guys don't care. They'll try and tear down anybody to make themselves feel better. You know, and here's the most common insult that authors hear. You're wasting your time writing. Writing fiction or writing at all isn't real work. Anyone can write a book. Why haven't you made money yet, you worthless loser? You poor worthless loser. You haven't made any money on your books. I didn't like your characters, plot, style. It was boring and you're confusing and weird. These statements are not typically a critique of your craft. They're misunderstandings. Perhaps the person didn't understand your work. It's possible. And they can be speaking of the reviewers or critiquers' own insecurities. Maybe they don't feel like they make enough money, or maybe their passion project hasn't made any money yet, but they're going to make you feel bad about what you do. So, what do you do? Understand that these people are maybe talking more about themselves than about you. So they may not be about you. Remember, a lot of times when someone says something mean, it's more a reflection of what's going on in their life and not anything about you. They don't know nothing about you. So don't let them tear you down. And this type of thinking, or maybe you just make a, this is a mean, awful person and I don't need to listen to them, right? So you depersonalize it so that you can get it out of your head. And you don't need, if these comments are online, you don't need to respond to them. You can't delete like an Amazon review, and I don't know if you can delete a Goodreads review, but if it's on your social media anywhere else, Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky, Twitter, you can delete them. You can delete them and block them. Okay? And that's what you need to do. Don't let these people tear you down. 2, you need to know how to separate constructive criticism from a personal attack. Because not all criticism is bad. Constructive feedback helps authors grow, right? Constructive feedback. That is where someone says, hey, I didn't like this, but I think maybe it would be better if you did it maybe like this. Or, I didn't like this, but consider doing it like this. Consider. Think about. These are constructive things. They're trying to help you improve and think about things in a different way. And I always, when I'm dealing with authors' works, I always phrase things that way. I'm like, this scene doesn't feel finished to me. Does it feel finished to you? Or I'll say, I think you could elaborate right here. Or I'll say, I don't think this section works, but could you reread it and make that decision for yourself? Right? Those are the kind of comments that I give authors. Because I'm not trying to tear them down. I'm trying to get them to rethink with my perspective on it. And if you get a bunch of beta readers, you can get all of their perspectives on it. But don't let somebody who's just being nasty for the hell of it tear you down. Don't let them do it. So the difference is in the tone and the intention. Constructive criticism is specific and aimed at improving your work. Personal insults, on the other hand, are vague, dismissive, or hurtful. I hated your book. Okay, why? Because I hated your book. Your review doesn't count. If you can't say why you hated it, your review doesn't count. You can say, I didn't like this part of the plot, or I thought this character was a little bit wimpy, and here's some examples. You can say that. But you can't do a blanket statement and expect any author to listen. And, this goes for authors. If somebody makes a blanket statement about your book, dismiss it immediately. Either they didn't read your book or they don't care enough to write something real. So, ask yourself, is there something here I can use to improve my writing? If not, file it under noise or whatever category you want to put it in and move on. You don't owe every reader an acknowledgement. And they certainly don't need your self-esteem, need to eat away at your self-esteem. You matter. Number 3, build your inner armor. Rejection and criticism are inevitable in the creative life. It just is what it is. Reading and books and novels and things like that, it's subjective, not objective. 10 people can read the same book, and they're all going to have different views on it. Some of them will like it, some of them will hate it, and some of them will be like, yeah, it was okay. So the key is to build emotional resilience, not by becoming numb, but by becoming selective about what and who gets to influence your self-worth. What and who, right? Not everybody is worthy of your time. Not everybody is worthy of taking up space in your head. Right? So what do? Create a praise folder with kind reviews, messages, or even excerpts that you're proud of. Stay grounded in why you write, whether it's for personal expression, for your readers, or simply for the love of storytelling. Why do you write? Ask yourself, why do you write? For me, I'm just compelled to do it. I love doing it, and I am compelled to do it. It was a calling for me. Celebrate small wins, like finishing a chapter, hitting your daily word count or weekly word count or monthly word count, or receiving thoughtful feedback. Like if you give off your first draft, somebody be like, hey, could you read this and let me know what you think? And they give it back to you and say, hey, here's what I thought. And I think you're on the right track, buddy. You can celebrate that. That's a win. Number 4, have a go-to response for rude comments. My go-to response for rude comments is to delete it where I can. That's my go-to response because I don't feed the trolls. But anyway, you don't have to justify your work to everyone, but having a few ready responses can save you some awkward moments. For example, writing brings me joy. That's enough for me. That would be a response like, haven't you earned any money yet? Well, I get joy out of it. So that's enough for me right now. Or I enjoy writing. I don't need any money right now. This book isn't for everyone, and that's okay. I say that a lot about my books. If you don't like my book, it wasn't for you. I mean, that just is what it is. If you don't like one of my YouTube videos, that video wasn't for you. It is what it is. So, or my favorite, thanks for the feedback. I'll keep that in mind. You can also smile and change the subject. I mean, if it's somebody you have to interact with, change the subject. And silence is powerful too. You don't have to respond. Oh, well, that's what you think. Well, let's talk about this other thing. Connect with other writers. One of the most powerful antidotes to discouragement is community. Other writers understand the highs and lows of the craft in ways that outsiders don't, right? So what do? Join a writing group, online or in person. I prefer in-person writing groups. I think it's more interactive. But if you can't get out or there are no writing groups in your area, online works too. Attend workshops. If you've got a community college in your area, sometimes they have workshops. Or participate in a critique circle. Create a critique circle in your local community or online. Sharing experiences and hearing Me Too stories. Oh man, that happened to me. Can validate your struggles and keep you motivated. And then reframe the insult as fuel. This is interesting, folks. Some authors keep rejection letters pinned to a wall as motivation. The same can be done with your characters face down. Use negative comments as creative fuel. Channel your frustration into your writing. Let your characters face down critiques in fiction. Let your characters battle it out. Put it in your book. Write about it. That can be very therapeutic. And sometimes I do that. Like, it's been a really nasty couple of weeks. I've seen some very ugly people on YouTube. So we're going to do this video on ugly people and what to do about them. Remember, you're doing something brave. Writing fiction requires imagination, vulnerability, and perseverance. You're creating something from nothing. It's a blank page. Looks like this. It's a blank page. There's nothing on it. And you are creating something out of it. So that when you get done with the page, you have words on it. You have something on this page. And it's you. It's your heart. It's your soul. It's your world. It's you. And you have the power. And that puts you ahead of countless critics. You're doing something. You have a dream. You're working to better yourself, to better your writing, to better your career. You're doing something. These people that are just putting you down, what are they doing? They're just flapping their mouths. Anybody can flap their mouth. It's where you sit down and do something when it matters. So, final thoughts. Insults will come. They come for every author, publishing or aspiring, successful or unknown. What matters is how you respond. Don't respond with defensiveness. Don't. Respond with clarity, or don't respond at all. You know, not responding is a response. Be confident in what you believe you can do, and be unshakable in the knowledge that you can write your book, you can write your fiction, you can get through this. Okay? Your stories deserve to be told. You deserve to be heard. So keep writing, keep creating, and remember, even the greatest authors had critics and naysayers who didn't believe in them until the entire world did. Hey, and sometimes they still catch flack. There's a news article every other day on J.K. Rowling. Anyway, but you can do it. Don't let those nasty people tear you down. Your book deserves to be finished. Your book deserves to be published. And you deserve to be heard. All right. Have a great night, folks, or a great day. Happy writing. And I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. And like always, folks, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you feel like supporting the channel, there is a GoFundMe link and a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Have a wonderful day.